All right, welcome back, everybody. What's going on? We're back in the building for Let's Talk About ETH. Yes, episode 4. I'm here with my guys, my amazing podcast host, but I'm Onaji B, Brian, founder behind Onaji and Onaji University. Just rocking this live stream journey, going crazy. But yeah, this we're sitting here again Wednesday night. 3 p.m. PST. But I got my guy Better Call Zal in the building and Maseo from We the Media. We got a special guest in the building as well too. So yeah, we're gonna introduce him and get into another amazing conversation, man. How you guys feeling? What's going on? Z, what's the word, man? How you doing today?
I'm feeling good. It's a beautiful Wednesday here, wavy Wednesday. A lot of different things experimenting with in this beginning of April. I'm excited. I think there's going to be a lot of fun opportunities for people to try new things. Like I've been saying, the experimental tech side of this is what always excites me. And in the last few days, even there've been some cool things that I've been building on top of that have been a lot of fun to try out. So yeah, kick it over to you, Maseo.
Okay, that's like I'm doing great. Today's my last day in Denver, Colorado. I've been here about 6 weeks. First day I saw Zol. Last day I'm seeing Zol. I like that. And we're well into the podcast, no less. So that makes me feel good about some follow through. I'm excited to have Fidesio here. I'm excited you've been helping us with clipping and actually getting our workflows around the podcast moving again, which I definitely appreciate because I needed to start asking for help and delegating and not just trying to catch up. And so, yeah, I'm excited to have you on and excited to be hanging out with you guys. How are you doing, Fidesio?
I'm doing great. It's around 1 a.m. There is right here in Kenya, but I don't know what's the time in your current countries. But in Kenya here we are good. The weather is good. It's kind of we just came from rainy season, so it's sunny. But yeah, it's good. Everything is good, and also I'm good. I'm doing good.
That's all to hear. That's crazy. I love how global this thing is. Love how global just building in blockchain, building community, with Ethereum communities and different things like that. So yeah, I'm in LA. It's sunny LA. Still sun's out. It's 3 p.m. So yeah, I'm trailing all of you guys. I think that's a big dub.
No, that's true. And Brian, he just gave his yes to like a 5 a.m. podcast end of the month. So he's braving the early.
Oh, just kidding.
I don't know exactly what time it is for you, honestly, but I know it's out of the ordinary time, and I'm feeling grateful and a little bit relieved. Zal's been letting me know I got to watch myself. He's been checking me in the chats.
Nah, you're all good.
But what's it called, Fidesio? I'd love for you to introduce yourself, tell the audience a bit about you, how you got into the Web3 space, what you find yourself doing in the space. Yeah, whatever feels right.
Yeah, I'm a content creator. So currently, I'm working on a show called Hasoyangu Show. So it's more like a show that tells stories of African business people and African builders. And I've been doing this for the current 3 years. That is, and I can say like this show is the reason that I got into Web3 because I remember like the very first episode we did it with my friends, and at the moment they were building an app. It was called Benkiko, and so we decided. So it's this app. It's more like a fintech app, and they were gonna use like crypto and Web3 to make the transactions. So I did a story around them, and that's now what pulled me into Web3. And since then, I've been meeting there is crypto guys, there is meeting Web3 startup founders. I've been into Web3 events and actually been in a couple of Web3 events that is not just in Kenya, but also Kenya has a very, very active that is Web3 and crypto. And also this is because of Kenya's like how can I put it? More like strategic like advantage. So that is we have more like a stable country, and also our mobile money is very very we use a lot of mobile money. So when crypto came, it's more like integrated into already working system. And also there is also in terms of politics, it's easier to hold also, or it's easier to build a company much more in East Africa, that is especially in Kenya. It's easy to build a Web3, a crypto startup. It's much more harder in our northern neighbors like Ethiopia, uh, in Uganda, maybe there is less resources. So Kenya has been having a very, very active Web3 community. There's been a couple of Web3 events happening here. So yeah, that's been my journey. And also last year I got to attend, there is a DevCon back, that is in India. So from that, I was able to meet with a lot of people, from different countries and see what they're building. And it was a pretty enlightening and also pretty encouraging, like, meeting all these different people and realizing, like, we are trying to solve the same challenge, maybe localized in different countries. But like at the end of the day, we are trying to solve, like, the same challenges we are all facing in our communities.
Yeah, I
So yeah,
think
that's me. That's Fidesio.
I love that. I think the thing that everyone looks at the blockchain, they look at this international ability to transfer money, but
Yeah,
I really got into the whole on-chain economy through the regenerative movement, like focused on small impact community building. How can we make our specific local community around us better with this technology? And I think that's still a challenge today. How can we implement that? Because everyone's always had this challenge of onboarding, and I think it's really cool to see the strides in technology that have been built not only by folks in Africa and in different places that have an ability now to do things that they weren't able to before. And that bar, like you said, to create a company, to create a brand,
yeah,
to create anything almost now today is being lowered step by step. So it's really cool and powerful to hear like local community initiatives.
yeah, for sure.
I'd love to know a little bit more, like if you want to chat about how you see blockchain impacting that local
Okay.
economy.
So for me, I think the way it's impacting that, or maybe even the way it's currently impacting it at the moment, um, blockchain has made it easy for remittance. That is especially movement of money around. That is Kenyans receiving money from either Europe or even US. That is all over the world. So it has made remittance very easy because even right now, like let's say Marcel can send me USDC or I can send Marcel USDT and then I can, withdraw it easily through P2P. Before it was very complicated because I would have to give him my bank details. Then from there, I'll have to pay a wire transfer from that. So like crypto or the blockchain has made it easy for these transactions and also this payment to be much more faster and also very much more cheaper because the transaction cost is much more lower. But also I think it has like opened up that is the country to other people because I can say like the reason the crypto community or the Web3 community in Kenya has been very active is because of the effort of other people. There is, and these are mostly community managers of different chains of base of all these different chains who have come either to Kenya to teach people about these. And actually, the way it used to go, like, and also what's happening at the moment, these community managers will go to different campuses and they would like either teach students about what is Web3, what is the blockchain, how to build on the blockchain. And so that really got a lot of people interested in Web3 or in all these different chains. So yeah, one of the thing I can say.
I love that, and I think that's a huge piece that kind of gets lost on a lot of other people that are building in Web3 just globally. Is that this has been game changing tech for a lot of people around the globe, and it's like we're able just the ability and have the ease of transacting, building, collaborating cross borders now is insanely different. Like something like this did not exist before blockchain, and I think a lot of times sometimes people, especially in the US, they'll be in their little bubbles like, oh, okay, we're just gambling, it's rugs and scams and stuff. It's like, no, people are building businesses, global communities, global corporations and different things, building IP together globally like they've never done on the internet before. So yeah, that's dope, man. Shout out to you. And keep
Thank you.
grinding, keep going, and teaching the kids, teaching the youngsters, man. That's what it's all about, man. Each one teach one. And like you
Yeah,
mentioned, you said, this is all from people who have come before and made strides in, furthering this innovation, furthering this tech. And that's what it's about, man. It started, with that open source mentality. It's like we're putting this tech out, we're building this tech out for everybody, to use and to help humanity grow. And it's amazing to see people just continuing that mission and not coming into it and being like, okay, what can I do for myself? But no, like, how can I pass this on to the next generation or onto my family and friends, and just building that network together. So shout out to you, man.
thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear you speak a little about between Ethiopia and Argentina. How would
Yeah,
you tell us about that journey for you and what that's been like for you as a content creator, as somebody learning about what this technology means, but not necessarily right as a finance person or as like a founder yourself, like a startup founder, right? But just as somebody seeing the narrative, seeing the
yeah.
world, documenting it, helping other people tell their stories. Like, what's that been like for you?
So for me, I can say like even though like Ethiopia is like our neighbors, and it's like 24 hours that is a drive or by bus. I think there's a very strong divide. It's more like an iron wall, and it's not like a ritual wall. It's more like a culture wall, yeah. Because these communities are very different. And when I traveled to Ethiopia for my first time, I felt it. Even though like we are all in Africa, for Ethiopia it's more different. And one thing is because they have a different language from what we speak. For us, we speak English is one of the main language, and also Swahili. And but Swahili Ethiopians don't speak Swahili, and also they don't speak English. So there's a more like it's very hard to communicate with them, and that was one thing that hit me. But also I realized that because Ethiopia is mainly like their main language is Amharic, they don't have English as a must to be taught in their schools. So most of the people there's a lot of language barrier, and I think this has been one of the things that has contributed to not like a lot of people fully adopting to crypto or knowing about crypto. But also the surprising thing, considering Ethiopia population, they are one of the leading countries with the highest number of crypto or Web3 users. And that's because the population is big. But still, considering like, the literacy level, if the literacy level was much more higher, there would be more people that is onboarded in Web3 or on the blockchain. So I can say like that's one of the things that I noted when I got into Ethiopia. But also we met with a lot of founders, and these are founders who are trying to build in different industries. And Ethiopia is more like it's not like Kenya. Kenya, we have a lot of competition in terms of companies from all over the world they are setting up here. So there's a lot of competition. But in Ethiopia, it's more like a controlled economy by the government. So for the local startup, it's very easy for them, like to start off and get a lot of users. And I noted this with they are like sharing up. For us in Kenya, we use Bolt, we use Uber, but in Ethiopia they have their own that is like sharing up. and it has a lot of users, that over 100, over I think 20 million users, and that's pretty impressive. And I think in terms of Web3, in terms of blockchain, that's the same angle I think it will be, because it will be like a fresh ground when anyone will set up either a Web3 company or a P2P or a fintech company. It will be easy to get users because the market is very fresh. And also, in terms of content, I can say, yes, I made content while I was there. Uh, but as so I cannot say, in terms of content, there's a lot of content creators that is in the entertainment sector, but also in terms of maybe like documenting Web3 stories or crypto stories. We don't have people yet who are like, maybe like people like myself who are trying to get in there. This is something that is, I think, still fresh there in Ethiopia. So unless you guys maybe have a question about Ethiopia, maybe I can move on and talk about my experience in Argentina.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'd be curious to you speak to is I know Nairobi is also very diverse, but
Yeah.
between getting to be at the events in Nairobi, like Eat Safari, and then the Ethiopia, right? What is your take on, I guess, just how you see the community of builders, right, in East Africa?
Uh-huh. So I can say like in Nairobi, of course, it's very, very diverse, compared to Ethiopia. And that is because that is that the language thing. That is there's a lot of people coming in Kenya, in Nairobi to set up, and also Kenya has a more tourist attractions compared to Kenya, to compared to Ethiopia. So events in Nairobi are much more diverse. There is even when we hold there is crypto events like Eid Safari, people come all over from the world. But when we held that is the event in Ethiopia, then even though people came from all over the world, but it's not like there were a lot of people who knew about the event. It felt more, even though people are from all over the world, it felt like an isolated event. People weren't talking about it in Ethiopia. But when you can come to Kenya, when you hold a crypto or a Web3 event, it doesn't feel like, isolated. A lot of people will talk about it around the country, in Nairobi. So yeah, I think in Nairobi it's pretty diverse. So the next partner is in Argentina for the DevCon. Uh, I think I can say what I learned in Argentina. It's more like learning from other people, and the network, like, and also building in public, because I think you can choose, like, maybe you have an idea and you want to build it. You can choose maybe to isolate yourself, but I realized, like, coming together, meeting with different people, you build faster, because you realize, like, the problem you're dealing with or the challenge you're having, your friend solved it sometimes back or even years back. So all you need is to get the information, and that exchanging of knowledge is what makes someone, like, maybe build faster, ship faster, and also it's easier to get, like, like feedback. Like, there is even there is genuine feedback about what you're building. You can even get experience from people who have built it in different markets, or people who have made it successful in different markets. So I think that is one thing that stood out for me in DevCon, like, meeting different people from all over the world, building different products. Like, there was a lot of hackathons. So seeing builders from all over the world hacking, trying to build stuff within a limited time, and seeing like the work catch of different people. So yeah, that was one thing that stood out to me.
And
What
so
were what were some of like the coolest builds or like the most like impressive things that you've seen at some of the hackathons? Like what was something that stood out to you like, oh dang, they
Mm,
built that, that's impressive, and they built it that fast? Because
mm,
sometimes those hackathons are crazy.
mm. So maybe I can say one thing that stood out for me, or maybe a product I used while I was there. It's called Peanut. So Peanut is one of the methods that help us, like especially like foreigners pay for things locally, and it's a crypto product. So you can just easily like I think right now it's more localized in Argentina. So you could easily top up it via crypto, either USDC or USDT. And then from there, you could pay stuff with it. You could either like scan a QR code, or you could maybe pay via their credit card. So that was one of the product that stood out for me. This is a product that I used. Uh, in terms of hackathon, I think back then when the event was happening, the AI agent or AI agent was just like getting going viral. So I think there was someone who built an AI agent that could pay stuff that could, I don't remember, but it was around like paying stuff that is on the base ecosystem. So that's another product that stood out for me back then.
That's sick. Love to hear it, man. That's cool. Go ahead, Mateo. I cut you off, man. What were you going to say?
no, you're okay. I was about to jump in. I was just gonna ask you. So like now you've been around the crypto ecosystem. Like, what is your sense of what this like? What is Ethereum to you? Like, yeah.
So for me, I can say like from how I've interacted with crypto, with Ethereum, and maybe even different tools that is on Ethereum. I can say it's an ecosystem, and for me, at the moment, from what I've seen, it's an ecosystem about finance, and it has built like this technology that has made payments very easy, and people are just trying like to build on top of that, like trying to solve like different uh, issues or different challenges this product is facing every day, since day one, since it was built. People are trying to build these different products, either L2s or ZK products, and right now AI is here. So for me, I think from my perspective, I can say like Ethereum is a finance infrastructure. It's an ecosystem of different finance products.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that one of the remarks I've heard recently is that, you know, we always keep on saying we're too early for blockchain, but like maybe it's just that blockchain was built for AI at the end of the day. And I think it's such a perfect verification structure for AI. But then now we're coming to AI agents and being able to pay and make payments, like you said.
Yeah.
I'd love to know where you think that future with blockchain is with, AI as it gets more and more integrated into everyday life, just naturally of the tech getting better and better. How do you see blockchain's role in that kind of upcoming in these next few years?
For me, I think one thing is AI and blockchain will really come together in terms of AI will use blockchain in terms of payment. That is especially like what we call like autonomous payment. Uh, because even right now, like there are people who are building the AI chatbots. That is, or even Web3 chatbots where you can just pay via your WhatsApp, and so you can like just chat something and tell, say, pay this person, let's say like $10, So I think with more integration, instead of you now typing it, to be AI now doing all that stuff behind the background, like making the payments, you know, making sure they are verified, maybe even following up about certain payment to see like where did I send this money or what happened here. Even it will help with streamlining all those payments and making them easy, maybe even like trying to figure out like which is the best part, like to send money from here up to here without with reducing that is the cost and the price and even the time. So I think blockchain will play a very big role in terms of AI autonomous payments.
I think it's
So
an interesting place we're at. It's like, I think the innovation is kind of moving so fast where we're solving global problems to where solving global finance problems,
yeah,
but some pieces of the world are like, okay, let's give some money and some control to some, autonomous agents and AI and stuff. It's like the spectrum of that is pretty fascinating to me. But I do think, in the future, I think a lot about, younger generations. I have kids. I'm like, what are they going to think about all this? They're probably just going to be, sending money to their AI bots, their AI agents built into their phones or whatever, and then
yeah,
just, transacting that way globally. It's an interesting, it's kind of mind blowing where we're at as far as like solving global problems, but then also adding in the tech innovation with AI. It's
yeah,
interesting, man.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I think currently we are like where people were dealing like the .com era, uh, because I feel like AI, of course, will be pretty big. Of course, right now there is different limitations. There are limitation in terms of maybe like even energy, the hardware side. But as we go, that will be solved. And yes, I think like it will be a very huge thing in our future generation. That is the next generation, our kids. It will not be like the way these days it's optional, like the way we use it. It will be almost in every like every tool, everything we do on the internet. It will be easier. So yeah, I think it will be a pretty big thing.
I like that a lot. I think there's a lot of interesting conversation being had now with big companies with AI and people laying people off, and these bigger conversations with like how the overall company is doing now, months later, that we're like looking at the effects of these actions. And I think it's really interesting. You said we're about to be in this .com same era as the .com era. I think it's definitely history repeating itself with an AI bubble, and that I think was applicable and is always applicable every 4 years, kind of to the blockchain side. And when I came into a space, and Najee always kept on telling me, like focus on the tech, focus on like what's actually getting better, what's actually impacting people. And if you do that, in the end of the day, even during those low times, you'll understand that if you can continue to improve what you're doing in those low times, then when things do come back, if you believe in that product or that ecosystem, then you'll be better than where you were at before. And I think that's such a powerful thing. If you focus on like what you have at hand, the technology in front of you, and it's really cool and powerful to see how you guys are doing it in like everyday payments potentially, because that's not even something sometimes we do here in the states, because we are blessed with the power of the banking system where it's easy to send money like halfway across the states. But yeah, no, I think it's a great solve for some of those challenges of like cross border payments. And yeah, I'm excited to see where blockchain kind of steps into its like role here when things come crashing down on the AI side. Where do we then add the verification layer with blockchain and start kind of making it part of the conversation, because it definitely isn't right now.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Um,
Because what I can say, you mentioned about verification, and considering like what's happening right now with AI, especially with AI deepfakes, and they only get better to the point where you'll not be able to tell like the difference when you're shown like a deep fake photo of Maceo and the real photo. You cannot like you not be able to tell. So I think like we'll need a lot of verification infrastructure, like to verify everything, because to be honest, I think right now there is a technology that can even fake your bank account, or make do transactions without like without you, because thinking of the all the ways you maybe log into your device. Maybe some people use like facial verification. With AI, that's very easy to fake. And also like a lot of things, especially anything to do with documentation, uh, for some things like maybe where you needed to show like a document to show like maybe I did this course. AI will fake a lot of that. So yeah, I think verification will be another very big thing, but also need to be rethought. Like the way we used to do verification, we'll need to do it in a different way, and maybe it's building like an infrastructure of verification, so that you can be able to know like this person actually exists. You know.
So I kind of want
Uh,
to take us in a whole nother less technical direction. I respect you flexing your startup chops though. I'm curious, like being a content creator, right? Like looking at these different tools, what's exciting to you? What's interesting to you? How are you
Mm,
thinking about, if you watch one episode of our podcast now, how are you thinking about, how do you feel, I guess, getting involved with us? We're three content creators for sure in the space trying to establish our voice and prominence more.
yeah.
And so hopefully, like, joining us can kind of position you similarly with your Hustle Yangu show, and you can be the talk of the continent. But
Mm.
yeah, how do you see where you're at, the opportunity, these tools? Yeah.
Uh, so for me, maybe I can start with a lot of content tools. Uh, of course, right now I think there's a lot of tools to make content, and I think this is one of the best time, like to make content has been made easy. That is because of AI. From, let's say, from chatbots like Claude or ChatGPT, it's easier to generate a script. Before, it would take you like days. So that has been simplified. Even with the free version of ChatGPT, it can do pretty good work. Then from there, maybe thinking of ways you used to record voices. Maybe before you needed to go to a studio, maybe spend like maybe even like $50, recording a sound. But right now you can just pay like $5 on tools like 11 Labs, and you get a perfect sound. In terms of now video, text to video, there are tools that can do that right now. From like image generation, most chatbots can do that, like Grok, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini. In video, we have other tools. So for me, I can say like there's a lot of AI tools, especially in terms of content creation, that can make content easily. But in terms of now startups, especially maybe Web3 startups, this has even made it easy, especially the content side, the marketing side, easy for people building like different products. That is either Web3 or any other, that is their marketing has been made a little bit easy. Right now, maybe what they need is a concept and how to execute. I
That
hope
makes
I
sense.
answered your question.
Yeah, yeah, but I even really meant like with Hustle Yangu, for example, or you sent me
Mm,
like you made a vlog from when you were in Argentina. You shared with me over the weekend, and I was
yeah.
curious, like as you've been creating your own content, doing your own show, like are there tools in Web3 that you're excited to use? Do you feel like this leaves you feeling, oh, like now people say you can own your own audience, right, or your relationship to your audience. Like
Yeah.
more in that kind of vein, like do you see an upside to being a creator in Web3 outside of like the business side of it per se?
For me, I can say one upside is I cannot say like right now there are tools that are related to Web3 that I can say have made my experience like better. Because maybe we can start like maybe NFTs, but also I'm not like I'm more like video based, so I don't know much about NFTs. But in terms of video tools or let's say audio visual stuff, as a creator, I think I cannot say like there have been any Web3 tools or any tools related to blockchain that I can point at that I can say like I'm excited about, or I can say have impacted my content. But in terms of content, especially through Hasoyangu, maybe it's the stories I make from these. It's the different startups I meet, building stuff, and I get to tell their story.
Okay. Are you excited to help us tell our story?
Sorry?
I said, are you excited to help us tell our story? What do you think about
Yeah,
our
I'm excited.
podcast so far?
Yeah, I'm excited to tell with the media story.
I love it. Candy actually had this awesome question. Do you think blockchain is bringing us closer to solving world hunger or everybody having their basic needs?
For me,
Someone worked
I
in the
can
chat,
say.
Saul.
Sorry,
I'm just
what
seeing
did you say?
the Twitch chat. I'm just seeing the Brian has all been over there going off. I'm about Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Uh, for you, the question was, do I think like blockchain is close to helping us solve world hunger? Uh,
Like, are we
I
on
can.
that? Do you think it's helping us? It just solving people's basic needs, these like challenges that we as humanity face today. Do you think blockchain is helping support that? Is there, what
For
are
me,
the
I think
ways that you see it?
yeah. For me, I think it is, and I can say it's one of making because it has made moving money around the world easier. So that's one of the things I can say. Like the blockchain has helped. Like helping solve these issues. Of course, it's not like 100%, but when you send someone money, let's say in Ethiopia, maybe they didn't have food. So I think that's something you've solved, and we are getting closer to that. So moving around money easily around the world. So I think that's one of the things blockchain has helped. And moving around money around the world, of course, it contributes with on solving the world hunger. And also, there is the side of creating opportunities for people that is from all over the world. Because if someone from, let's say, especially third world countries, especially countries in Africa, uh, my friend, especially my friends, it has created a lot of opportunities for them. And these are opportunities they could not afford in the different industries like in Kenya. So for me, I think yes, that's a definite yes.
I think it would be cool to go around the room, starting with you, Zol. Like, how do we see wealth inequality in general? Like, in the different kinds of spaces you've been. You were in India earlier this year, right, Zol? And so I'm sure you got to see it there. Versus you live in Maine, right? It's like a kind of. I think of Maine. I think of like white people, waspy mountains, rural.
Yeah, I mean, you go a lot of ways
Renewable.
with wealth inequality, right? I think that if you go with Candy's question, I think that we're definitely, just like Fidesio was saying, on our way towards that. Not only with the ability to make capital move from border to border, but also information, the information flow, and being able to share and collaborate on information from halfway across the world at the speed of light, I think is the power that is super missing. And like with that, I think it makes it a lot easier to do some of those things and solve some of these wealth inequality gaps, because the biggest thing that's been pushed is just like either misinformation, but just like the losing the thirst for knowledge, just learning in general. I think those two things together make for a much more receptive audience. So if you can help support that growth in knowledge sharing and coordination, which I think is the other thing that people are very challenged with, I think you can have a much more successful attack at trying to bridge that gap. And I think that's what blockchain helps do. So, but like regarding locally specifically, I hadn't been to India in like 10 plus years. There was a lot of just building development, just like urbanization that like was happening around the greater Mumbai area, that not only me but also my parents and like family friends parents that hadn't been in a while were like very surprised to see. And it's really interesting because I had just heard that they actually had elected their prime minister for like 3 terms, and there's 5 year terms, so like 15 years, almost like two coming up upon almost 2 decades. And that's just nuts for me to like even conceptualize around like our challenge of the in the United States of the changing hands of power. And I think it is just a really interesting opportunity to learn more about other cultures and how different people solve different problems, because some things aren't just communicated well, and like someone could be solving something in New Zealand halfway across the world that solves the exact problem you need to know. You just don't know about that yet. So that's where I kind of see the power. That's where I kind of am excited. And I don't remember what the exact question was, but I'm going to kick it over to Brian.
Yeah, I answered you put my answer in chat, but yeah, I think there's a great spread of wealth allocation, like Z was saying. We definitely do need like a major shock to the system as it is. I think blockchain is a good tool for communities of people to really have the tooling to be like enough is enough. We're going to do our own thing. You know, we can sustain ourselves for the most part, which I think is a cool little piece of this internet tech. That right. I said it'll be a long time before we solve like world hunger, or we can definitely start closing the gap. And I think it's a good solid thing. My guy Nacho in chat, he said he's been talking about Paytm for a minute. Over in India is a new digital payment system. Pretty much greatly improved the economy. It's not perfect by any means, but it's helped everyone from like the smallest fruit vendor to the farmers and in between
Bro,
and stuff. Yeah.
I'm telling you, we went. Okay, so we were there for 3 weeks. And I went out. I saw cousins that I hadn't seen in 8 plus years. I'm now a full blown adult. Before I was like 6 months out of leaving my parents' house for 18 years. And it was really fun because one of the days we went out with the cousins, and I was just asking like, okay, like I don't have cash. Like, do you have cash? She's like, bro, not a problem. And we just pop out of the rickshaw, and it's just a QR code, and you just scan it, and boom, and then you just show the receipt of the payment, which I think is also super sketchy, but I guess is a whole different issue for a different time. But it was really interesting to see the innovation on that. I mean, like you said, not related to blockchain, but very powerful, like digital payment infrastructure. And now let's say that there was the ability for at an institutional level that, I mean, the Indian government couldn't even do that at a blockchain institutional level. Like no one could handle that at this current moment with where we're at. But the power of like having a centralized entity doing those things and modernizing certain systems, I think is super powerful. And then one of the things I also want to mention at the end, which is interesting, is that's India, their digital currency, a little bit like, let's say, behind the US, where I'm from, where I'm thinking and learning. But then the US is actually pretty far behind even just like Canada in terms of digital payment infrastructure, and hearing what they have over there and the power of like their Zelle is like within their bank account within itself, which is really interesting. I mean, it is very centralized if you're looking and talking about ETH in terms of decentralized structure, but the ability to actually have low friction in moving your money is very powerful. Again, that's within a nation state, and where blockchain is super powerful is internationally. But I think it's really interesting and unique to see how payment structures from different systems are formed, and how honestly everything can be improved upon with blockchain. But it's how do we take it one step at a time and ensure people's trust in the system, and why it is more beneficial than a system where you can have quid pro quo with people in the government, and you have some of these backdoor dealings. So I think it's very powerful for transparency on that front.
It's very cool to see some of the strides that different places across the globe are making, with money digitally, and yeah, it's
What do
cool. I
you think,
think
Maseo, on the wealth inequality thing? Because I'm
yeah.
curious to hear your thoughts, and then we'll kick it over to Fidesio to end off. I know you said a little bit, but I'm curious what their synthesis of it is.
I mean, I think it's been interesting, right? I went to ship my stuff today here in Denver, and I see like this lady in her car, and her car is like falling apart. And then behind her is like this truck that's like falling apart. And then there's like this dude, and like what is might as well be an Escalade. And I'm just like, these people are living completely different lives in this city, you know? And it's honestly got me thinking about it. You know, people can be in this city, right, and be living such disparate lives, that I think like it can be happening under our nose, like the gap widening and it becoming more visible. And if we're just, stuck in routine so much, might not really become aware of it, even if, like I feel like resentment breeds no matter what. But I think, it's just people resenting the system, right? Resenting the inequality, not resenting each other in practice, right? It's just like the forces at play. But I think it's, I don't know, it's been interesting to travel around the world, right? And see like what it is to be like an expat in Thailand versus an actual Thai lady, like the 60-year-old lady driving me around on her scooter while I smoke my joint in Bangkok while she's about to keep driving around, I feel kind of like, dang, isn't it crazy that I'm like 24 on the back of your scooter at 11 p.m. and you're like here grinding, right? And like this app, it has a limit on how much I can even tip her, right? Which maybe is so they don't like, it's like, wrench method me, right? And take all my money. But it still was like, oh, it would be nice if I could somehow tip her more, right? It's like the max is say like $5, right? And the thing might cost $4 for a 24-minute, like, like $4 for 24 minutes, in the US, like I could have got on the bus and gone a couple blocks. So I think for me, I think it's just crazy that crypto has even made visible like the massive gaps, right? And I think made it possible for people to travel around the world in the way they have. And I think it's I'm interested to see if crypto or blockchain really become a technology which level the playing field, right, for people that are at the bottom end of wealth gaps in countries where currencies are already hyperinflated, right? Because to go from poor in one currency to rich in the same currency isn't the same to go from like, the world's like to go from I got a million Vietnamese dong to I got a million US dollars. It's like a very big, very different game. So I just think it's like people almost have to hustle backwards to even be in the race, and that's kind of crazy.
Totally. I think Candy had another question for Fidesio here. What are your thoughts on Nigeria in general, where they're at, where their culture is with the crypto adoption in comparison to Kenya?
Mm. I can say, of course, Nigeria has a very, very huge crypto adoption. Even though I've never been into the country, but I've met a lot of Nigerians. I have a lot of Nigerian friends, and also I use some of their products. One of the products I use from Nigeria, it's called Onboard, and it's more like a credit card, an online credit card. So that is, I can top it with crypto and pay for different services from Netflix, from everything. So I think they are building really, really cool stuff and stuff that actually works. And that's one thing I can say about Nigeria. And the adoption is very, very huge. And that's because their population is like 4 times or 5 times the Kenya population. And that I think has led to the adoption to be very huge. But also, I was talking to some my friends from Nigeria, and I was asking them like, why do you think like Nigeria has a very big adoption compared to Kenya? And one thing they told me that contributed to that is because of the naira. The naira is shitty, like its rates compared to the US, it's shitty. So it's more unstable. So it's most people have their saving in USDC, in USDT, because if you save in naira, you might lose half of your money in the next 2 months. So that is one thing that has contributed to that. Another thing I noted is there is the finance side, there is the fintech side of Nigeria and Kenya. In Nigeria, you go there and you realize there's a lot of fintech startups. And these fintech startups are actually like, active. They have like, active numbers. Because like right now, every time you hear a story of a crypto startup or a fintech startup being acquired, it happens in Nigeria. Like Stripe acquired Paystack in Nigeria, and I think the reason there's been a lot of Web3 startups now, other than the Naira being shitty, is because of competition has been around. In Kenya, the fintech side is dominated by one company. It's called Safaricom. And actually, I think it's been one of the most impressive thing that has happened in Kenya, because back in the days, all the way back in 2007, you could send money through your phone that is in Kenya. Even like, I don't know, if other than smartphones, there's the phones with just like, the keyboard, they don't have the internet. So you could just send by a USSD. So Kenya was able to dominate that mobile money. This company Safaricom was able to dominate mobile money, and that made it harder for other startup. Like if you wanted to build a startup, you'd have to like compete with them. But now in Nigeria, they didn't have this thing, so people would build a startup from all over. There is a Paystack, there's Money Point. So there's competition, but you're not competing against giants. You are competing with your fellow startups,
Hmm.
so you can actually grow from that. But I think the issues with the naira has contributed a lot with the crypto adoption. There's a lot of adoption, and also there was a study that was done sometimes back where they noted that most people in Nigeria have their savings in USDC, and actually Nigeria is one of the country that is holding huge amount of US USD stablecoins from USDC, from USDT. I think they have even a higher like holdings of saving, even compared to some countries in Europe. They are among the top 10, and that is explained, of course, because of the naira. But yes, I think
I wanted to
that's
add
one
something
thing.
in. I know I'm interrupting you, but I feel like sometimes I just need to jump in. I something that I know is I know there was like the big NSARS protest
Yeah,
in 2020, I believe, right? And a
yeah,
lot of money that went into that protest was like people from the diaspora and like in Nigeria, right, who were
yeah,
funding it through crypto,
yeah,
and like specifically through Binance, and the country made it illegal.
yeah,
But like inflation kind of fucked. It was like I think more than 100% over the next 2 years, right? So people are literally watching themselves not be able to afford food, and so I think, and then on top of that, right, there were a lot of like the Telegram apps were like
yeah,
farming Nigerians for attention, right? Like, oh, like come tap on this hamster. Like there was some hamster game. I know the first time I went to Nigeria, like generic and my friend Bio were showing me this app on Telegram where you could like farm this hamster, which runs. And then there's also like this pie app on Telegram where you can stake your pie that you earn over time. And so there's a lot of kind of like liquidity based attention. I won't
yeah,
call them Ponzi scheme kind of things, but they're kind
yeah,
of farming the massive number of people there for users so they could raise money. And so they were doing airdrops, right? So there was like a big airdrop culture as well. And so I think a lot of people who are trying to figure out how to make money, there's like a big Yahoo culture too, right? Which is just like
yeah,
this
yeah. Who
online
boys?
scamming culture, right? And so there's already people who are on the internet trying to figure out how to finesse, and they're just getting like these are the new methods. Like now we can do the airdrop farming. Like, oh, if I don't have a wallet, like even like right now we're doing these $100 weekly video journalism bounties, and I'm sure that for some people it's like they don't necessarily see a concrete other attainable path to making $100 this week, even if they don't make $100. Like this is the only fair shot they have at $100 this week. And
Yeah,
I think that a lot of people don't really get like that's like I think that the monthly wage for some people is $200, like the medium income in Nigeria, and that's assuming you're in a city, right? If you're like not in a city, you could live off way less than that. And so I think that for a lot of people, it's just been like with the economy shifting so much and there already
yeah,
being an online money culture, you might say. I think a lot of those things are driving a lot of younger people into crypto. And then I think you just have people who've been trying to build wealth in Nigeria, right? Who are early to Bitcoin as well. But I think that Yahoo culture and the INSARS protests were also a big part of what popularized crypto there for people. And then right those airdrop farming opportunities.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, and also maybe to add something on the Yahoo culture. Uh,
Was that?
the Yahoo culture, the Yahoo thing you are talking about, the Yahoo scams
Oh yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
were common in Nigeria.
Mhm.
And someone was telling me, like, when that thing was very, very huge, when crypto came in, it was like it made it go boom because crypto made receiving money from all over the world easier. So it made it go very, very huge and very big.
Hmm.
But also, like, the other point I can mention is remittance. I think remittance is one thing that has contributed to, like, to the growth of crypto. That is, especially in Africa, and the different communities sending money back in Africa.
Hmm.
And I know, like you guys know, there's a very huge Somali community that is in US. And this Somali community is mostly from East Africa, mostly, let's say, Somalia, but also they are from Kenya. Kenya, we have Somali community. Ethiopia, we have Somali community.
My Uber
And
driver with my boxes, he was Somalian.
sorry?
My Uber driver coming back from the post office, he was Somalian.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, so Somalians are very, there's a big community, especially, I think, and also we cannot so fail to mention that is Minnesota. Uh, from me, that is what I know, where they say in many Minnesota. But also I can say, like, you know, those are huge communities of Africans in different countries, either in US or in Europe, have contributed a lot in the crypto growth because at the end of the day they figure out, like, sending money via crypto to Africa is much more easier than using, like, the traditional means. So that's one of the things that has made the crypto ecosystem grow because it's like an actual problem that's being solved by crypto.
Mm. I know we're coming up on being on here for an hour, but I think that you're a good person to speak to this, given that you've been able to travel a bit around Africa. You're
Yeah.
kind of looking at the startup ecosystem. You've been able to travel, right, and see people who are pretty successful in crypto going to Argentina as well. Like, what do you feel like are some of the challenges that African founders face, that you feel like are unique to African founders in East Africa, or even just going to Argentina that you saw, right? Like, I feel like, yeah, I'll just leave it there.
So for me, I can say, like, the main challenge, of course, it's resources, and resources, they can be in different forms. Uh, Even information can be a resource, and I think this has been, like, the main challenge that we faced at the beginning, because I remember there was a time we were in Ethiopia with you, and we were in a certain balcony, like, smoking some joints, and we were saying, like, some technology come in Africa, but right now things have changed. But before, things used to come in Africa, like, technology come in Africa late with like 3 to 5 years,
Hmm.
because let's say, like, an example with blockchain or crypto.
Hmm.
Blockchain started, let's say, in the US. It was very big around back in 2015, 2016. But in countries like Kenya, we were only able to really know about it or for it to be active all the way maybe around 2019, 2020. And maybe one of the things that contributed to this is because the access to the internet. The more people got access to the internet, we were able to know now, this is what people from the United States are building. This is what people from Europe are building. And that goes all down to resources, because back then people didn't have a lot of access to internet, and the reason they didn't have access to the internet is because most of the country was not connected to electricity, so people could not get internet. And also maybe people didn't have, like, smartphones. Smartphones only started being active at least, let's say, around 2015. That's when uh, everyone could own a smartphone easily. So I think resources has been like the main challenge. And also, like, let's say here in Kenya, maybe if you want to build something, it would be much more harder for you, maybe even accessing, let's say, uh, accessing, that is, VCs, people who can fund your ideas, and maybe not even VCs, some resources. There are some startups you cannot build here in Kenya or in Africa because we don't have like enough resources. So yeah, I think resources has been the main issue, but at least we have solved information. Right now, you can know what's happening from all over the world, no matter where you are. Yeah.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. So what I heard is we got to start a fund to invest in the African-led startups and projects, so we could be minority owners in the continent. We're doing reverse colonialism. We're minority owners now. Stop playing with it.
Well, so I've actually always played around with the idea pre coming into Web3 with like a version of Shark Tank, but we do it on Twitch with actual money, resources, and ability to like support a business longer term than just like a quick pitch, a little bit of a money grab, and like an attention opportunity, but like actually turning it into like long term businesses with mentors and mentees. And I think it
Yeah.
could be really cool to like have a bunch of people come up and pitch, and then like you like just like a lot of people with streaming do, you know, you have people come back just like a job interview, and then like you have a winner for like a group in a period of time, and then like we continue to like work with them and show that on stream and stuff. I think that could be really powerful, or something to that extent, just straight up with this brand right here. But yeah, amazing to have you on board the team, Fidesio. It was a pleasure to learn more. I definitely learned a bunch more about African culture and even some of the other things out there. So I'm excited to check out Onboard. I think onboard.xyz was the link that I found. I'm
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
gonna check it
that's
out
it.
here, and like I think it can be really powerful as a whole. So thank you for putting me on game, and yeah, kick it over to you, Pete.
I was gonna say the guy who Yele, who runs Onboard, he was working at Binance. I'm pretty sure when they got shut down by the Nigerian government. I'm pretty sure that, but I think he's a UK. He's a UK Nigerian. He's not. He doesn't live in Nigeria, but I'm pretty sure he was working with them at the time. But yeah, I think that's dope. I think it's cool. I didn't know they had like a debit card and stuff like that until you said that. Honestly, that was news to me.
Yeah, they have a debit card. Yeah. I think that's one of their very most active products,
I
because I
believe it.
think yeah, they try to get into the P2P side, but Binance has already dominated that. And
And
even me,
P2P,
like, sorry.
P2P is like a exchange, right? Like just people know, like a P2P exchange is like, as opposed to going to like Coinbase or Binance, right? Like to off ramp, you might have to swap with somebody who's making look like who has an ask, right? So it's more of like a place to go and exchange in an informal way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. P2P, yeah, yeah, like Binance P2P. I don't know if you have used Binance P2P, but in Kenya, like Binance P2P is very, very big, because it's the fastest way you can, like, get money if you have crypto. Right now, we don't have, like, actual product. Even Binance, I think, implemented this the other day, where you can like sell your crypto directly from Binance and maybe receive your money on the bank or in M-Pesa, that is our mobile money. And so buying the P2P side was very huge, and the onboard guys initially tried to get in, but there was a lot of competition. But now I think we have found a niche that is on the credit card side, and you can use it from wherever, from all over the world. Was able to use it while I was in Argentina, so I think it's a cool product. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
congrats to them. I like those guys. I met them at FWB Fest in like 2024. I'm like,
yeah.
who is this? Like, three people of like these three Nigerians. I'm pretty sure I'm like three Nigerians, and none of them work together. They all work remote. And I was like, who are you all? So I think that's pretty sick. I'm happy to hear that win. But I'll pass it over to you, B. I'm done jumping in.
Nah, you're all good. Solid conversation. Good to meet you, Fidesio, man. Good to have you aboard the squad. It's gonna be a good time. For sure, for sure, for sure.
It's nice meeting you all,
All right. Well, thank you. You have any final words for the audience, for the world? You want to teach us how to say goodbye in Swahili?
guy. Yes, I can teach you how to say goodbye in Swahili. Maybe I can start teaching you hi. Saying hi in Swahili is we say sasa, but also we have different words for hi. Habari yako. So, but the easiest one is sasa. But let me just tell you all of
Habari
them.
yako.
Yeah, habari yako, habari yako.
Habari
So
yako.
that is how are you?
Okay.
Yeah, that's how are you. Then we have sasa. Sasa is more like a short form. So sasa definitely, sasa as a word means now. So it's more like you are asking someone, how is it now? So instead we go with sasa. But sasa is more used to like how can between dudes you cannot like say sasa, but you can say to a girl like sasa. So sasa is more like it's not cheeky, but it's more like you use it when you're saying hi to a girl because it's far. It sounds more cheeky. But between men, you can say like habari yako, VP. So VP is like we have different words like of saying hi to each other. So VP is like it's asking how are you, VP. It's a short form. So okay.
I guess we got VP and habari yako.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
VP
boom.
na with the habari yako.
VP and Habariako. Well, thank you so much
Yeah.
for teaching us, Fidesio. Appreciate it. It was honestly a pleasure to have you on, and yeah, thanks again for everyone who popped in. See
Yeah,
y'all next time.
Asante.
it was a pleasure meeting each one of you. Yeah. And I love this. I
There you
think
go.
this is a very good conversation and I enjoyed it.